All right, everybody, welcome back. It is Thursday, the 9th of September, 2021. Again, coming in with a bit of a slower trading day for me, not seeing a whole lot of excitingness going on in the pre-market, to say the least, of anything I was looking to do in the morning session. Only traded one ticker today in GSAT, which was not necessarily an A-plus opportunity. I certainly jumped the gun and tried to think I may get a little bit more than what it should have or could have been. I certainly had a lot more time to get in to what have been an awesome actual play for a breakout, but I'll get into that a little bit later too. More housekeeping on the day, just to get started. SPY just doing a little bit of nothingness today too. Had a kind of perk here, but a little sell-off here. We're looking at the chart that way, but market internals, NASDAQ's still incredibly low dollar volume today too. We're also just under 2 hours after market close here with the NASDAQ. Nice C, $231 billion volume. NOTC dollar volume, 2.3 billion. So a little bit slower today. We'll see what happens tomorrow on Friday. Again, slower morning. We still got family over today too, so I took off pretty early. I think 45 minutes after the open, then I was pretty much done, stopped looking at the screens, and then came back after the close just to review and go everything right now. I woke up at my normal time and looked at the scanner and literally just went right back to bed because there was nothing that I wanted to waste my mental capital on. I valued the sleep and the nap more importantly at that point in time than just wasting my energy and eyesight staring at absolutely nothing. So woke up right before the open again. But I'll get to GSAT in a little bit, but VIX hovering around 18 to 19. I want to keep mentioning VIX as well too, as in each one of these little databases videos for me on the day. But that's pretty much it for the introduction. Let's get into GSAT for the number one trade. This one, of course, I've been trading for like 5-6 days now, this whole trend. I remember trading it the first day and then trying to look at it for this third day attempt that really was the fourth day here on the second, and did pretty well on the second with this. And then I had this crazy green day here that I wasn't a part of, and just looking for this $3 whole dollar level is just still looming, and it looks so incredibly enticing on the daily as well too, knowing that we came from there before and now we're in this nice uptrend with volume once again too. So that just becomes foaming at the mouth, getting ready to attack that $3 level. Thought we were going to see it today too. I think a bunch of other people were plotting on that type of breakout trade as well. I think I disobeyed my $500 max intraday position size limit on a single ticker rule that I temporarily made up for myself, but I did it strategically within the realm of what I know I could handle, and the P&L side I know I could handle too. So certainly don't want to be breaking rules, but I think with what I thought the potential for this trade was on the day two and what I was up in, how the trade started working, I was confident in straying away from that rule just a little bit in the slides. Not going absolutely crazy, throwing huge position sizes at this, but just guiding myself and saying, okay, hey, I'm over the rule set that I've established for myself to keep myself safe. And I think I was guiding myself in the realm of still staying safe with the position sizes and the entries and exits I was taking within this one as well. And yeah, like I mentioned in the intro, I think I was trying to make this a little bit more, I was trying to buy the exact bottom, or I was trying to get in this so far earlier than what I could have or should have been in being patient and waiting. And we still have to, first off, break the 2.9 level. We still have to break the $3 level. And then the actual trade, the breakout comes beyond that. So, the breakout trade wasn't necessarily what I was in. And I think I confused myself or misguided myself a little bit to say, oh, yeah, you're trading the breakout. It's got volume today. It's holding well. That's what you're trading. But in essence, I was just so far early and so chasing like a dog with these early trades that I don't think that's really what I was trading. And I tried to convince myself a little bit on. So in total, I think 3 round trips I took this on. The second round trip, I convinced myself it was more of a dip and rip opportunity, and it did actually have a nice little sell-off curl back to VWAP here that was a fairly substantial base for me to feel comfortable in the trade and think, okay, we either are going to go up from here and have a successful dip and rip trade off of that, and then continue on into potential pre-market high of day breakout here, this little regional 2.8 breakout, then potentially the rest of the day if it wants to test 2.9, and then 3, of course, that whole dollar level, maybe we come up to that. But that was just, again, so far away that I was trading and fooling around with the scraps that I was misguided in my search for what was going to be the optimal and true trade on this one. And I don't think, to foreshadow for tomorrow, I don't think this chart is dead by any means. And I think it actually does prove that this thing does just like to have its little perk and crazy one days, settle down a little bit, find some space, and then potentially ride a little bit higher in the next few days. It just doesn't keep going up, 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 day after day successively. It takes a little bit of time, and I think maybe yesterday was too hard, too fast, especially too. So need a little bit of day to cool off on that regard. And of course, this is just the insanely high float ticker that for some reason is pushing these types of percentage moves, and it's still baffling to me that I don't understand why, but we'll certainly take it as it was there. Getting into the trade specifically, started off with this little bit of chase that I thought we were trading this on the tick volume candle chart here. Thought this was going to be, quick sell off, whatever kind of quick time frame. This was a super chasey. I don't regret this chasey. That it was a mistake of a chase. I knew I was chasing it, but more so just protecting myself to say if this thing immediately started to spike quickly in the panic of what the first few minutes of market open is, saying, hey, I think we could get a flush to potentially 2.8 here immediately, and then it's almost off to the races because now everybody in this pre-market of today is now either in the profits, shorts are screwed, and they're now having to deal with the repercussions of liquidity of the first minutes of market hours and potentially pushing them higher, now coming up to the 2.9 level, and then of course that looming $3 whole level. That's really what I was looking for and playing for. We found this little bit of consolidation right away from this in the second minute that I thought was saying as it was above VWAP, shorts were either going to pile in at this point and then get tested to that 2.8 and continue to squeeze them out a little bit. I don't think it's ever going to squeeze insanely hard against him or that we were going to get a fast, quick move to the upside. But that's what I was just looking for, that slow, continual, nice grind move to the upside. It didn't happen, broke low a day, which was a risk level, obviously. Broke VWAP before it did that and then cut it for a loss. To start it, was waiting patiently. Me a few weeks ago, I think definitely then would have still tried to be watching this super closely, and even within these minutes after that exit, been trying to psych myself out, saying, okay, found a little base here in consolidation, and then trying to I would be taking so many paper cuts all along the way here of thinking this was the bottom, thinking this was the bottom, thinking this was the bottom. Whereas now came the realization too that not only in a normal dip and rip setup should I be patient enough to wait for the bottom to be put in and know that I have plenty of time to ride the momentum wave back to the upside if it's going to even prove that, wait for that trend to prove itself. But also in the fact too that with the potential of the breakout trade to the upside, I have incredible amounts of time to find an entry for this thing to prove itself, because definitely 100% it needs a huge amount of volume, as proven by the past few days here on the volume chart of what it's needed to produce this type of price action. We need that type of volume to continue to push this thing higher. It's just not going to happen without it, especially with this high of a float. That was my realization, and became my mentality of it, that I didn't fully adopt 100%, but I think I did well in scaling in specifically to say, hey, I think, we're getting around that a little before that 9:45 time frame, which is what we normally look for as a dip and rip in a sense too. So I think I'm going to play that a little bit, but scale in and save myself I'm not going to go a full position size and just immediately break that $500 rule I set for myself, but scaling a little bit, because I think we put in a little bit of a double bottom here, and as I'm scaling in, prices holding well, we're testing new little local highs here, reclaiming some of that sell-off from the initial VWAP crack. Then you get a little bit of a higher low off of this double bottom-ish, triple bottom-ish on the tick chart. As you can see, I didn't think this even showed up on the 1 minute. Just a little bit, yeah, that you get the sell-off here, and it kind of looks like a single bottom. I just misguided what I was saying. Whatever. But then, so that was just a more of encouraging affirmation for me as I'm in the trade to say, okay, we're putting in a higher low. Now we're reclaiming again, testing. We're breaking this previous high, even though it had a little bit of trouble at this point. But now we're reclaiming VWAP. Price stuck around VWAP for a good amount of time. Didn't just crack immediately. Putting in a decent amount of volume around that area as well. I bought in with even more as I was convicted as we broke to the upside of VWAP, giving it a little bit of time. Not to say that I pressed that button as soon as it broke to the upside of VWAP, but gave it a little bit of time and established itself before I pulled the trigger. It doesn't look that great on the chart because, yeah, I kind of lied. I just did exactly that of saying that, okay, it breaks to the upside, and I'll give a little bit of room. Say, I think the potential for this one is still far beyond. And that's what I was, even with these 4 different entries here, I think max position size here was 200 shares for me, even at this point. That I knew I wanted a bigger position size, but I wasn't willing to enter even more with the confirmations of higher price movements, even at this point, because I knew then still what I said earlier of I think there's so much time and so much opportunity along the way to scale in that the upside could be so much greater. And I don't have to force that position size right here, right now. So allowed it to breathe, allowed it to move. Thought this was going to produce a little bit more price action, but just kind of fell off and we cracked VWAP. And I was a little quick with the trigger finger on this exit that I thought we would dump a little bit more, break this 262 area. I think we had my family was in the room at the time too, and I wasn't, just a little bit of distraction that was, I don't want to use that as an excuse, but certainly it wasn't my 100% full focus. But a little bit of sell-off under VWAP, cracked, came back to the upside actually, and then tested that former high of this move, tested that 268. I said, man, I think it could go. I think this was a little bit of a fake out. It actually just bottomed here at 262. I think this could still have plenty left in the tank, and got in with my final round trip opportunity, which was pretty much the same position size, another 200 share position, thinking, okay, sweet. And then after that entry, we get the bounce-ish off of VWAP, price action moving to the upside again. Still not really willing to go more to the upside, and I knew my risk level definitely was going to be 262, but then as it was testing here and failing and not really finding enough volume to come behind it, readjusted it to say, hey, I think we're going to crack VWAP here. And this was a great exit. I think this round trip, even though it wasn't the most opportune entry point or most strategic sniperish entry point, I think the exit was certainly a big step for me too in reading the level 2 and understanding if and when it was going to be a fake out, and understanding the prints going off in the middle between 263, 264, and then seeing, okay, we're fully red 264, we're just slapping the bid at this point, then seeing that break and fall off, and different little variables like that that went into my exit, I think was a smarter exit than I've felt I've done in the past too, and another growing step in my journey of being able to read charts, being able to read level 2, understand when a trend is dead, and basing the exits specifically off of that too, and being able to scale out as that happens. So that was a great exit and opportunity in that one. In total, yeah, $25 loss on the day. Nothing absolutely major loss, but still just taking those red day paper cuts as they come. And of course, I'm going to say that I'm absolutely just sick of taking these red days over and over again, but also carrying the mentality in this too that these red days do not define me whatsoever. And finding that balance to understand the framework that I'm building today is establishing me for the trader that I want to be tomorrow, in which my emotions and my life isn't defined by what a computer screen says. Even though everything inside of me just wants to scream, and it just pains me once again every single day to put that red P&L on the thumbnail, to just have to type in all of these trades into the spreadsheets, of just the stupidity of putting that negative and then red logo on it. It's just frustrating, and it absolutely 100% wears on you, but I don't feel any less inspired or any less motivated to continue to pursue this. It certainly makes me more motivated, and I think I've talked in the past too that I also don't want this to be defined as, oh, I only put in more effort after a losing day. That I want the same amount of effort to be applied to when I have my winning days as when I do my losing days. I want to put the same amount of work, same amount of screen time, study time, research into charts and patterns, and going back to work and referring all the trades and learning about who I am, all that type of stuff. I don't want that to be looking any different just because of the P&L wise, right? And I don't want to get in that routine mentally too to say, oh, now that I took a losing day, now I have to put in more work. That's just what that entails. But now that I have a winning day, now I can take that day off. That doesn't set up well in the future when I say, obviously I want to have more winning days in the future, and then the workload becomes less and less and less, because that's just what my brain has normally been accustomed to, that, oh, if you have a winning day, now you can take it easy, you can rest, and you don't have to put in work in because you had a green day, right? That's what we want to do. You just did what we want to do. So why would you need to do any work, right? But I think I'm going way far in the weeds on that example, but It's just, that's just the nature of trading. And it certainly has inspired me and pushed me to focus more on everything that's going on and take the lumps as they come. And I can just imagine the stories now too, as I look into the future, looking into the future that's looking back at me to say, man, I freaking trying to explain to another person who wants to get into this type of field to understand, hey, you're not going to make money every single day 100% of the time. You're not going to have a 100% win rate. And you can look at my example too of, man, I was freaking red pretty much every day for however many days. It could be years at this point. But I know too that it's just one day at a time. And that truth excites me too, that this computer screen doesn't define who I am. And I think that's the greatest lesson for me that I can take, because as I'm understanding more and more and continuing to evolve as a trader, I think if I had not gone through this journey, whatever I'm in right now that I still believe I'm in, I think I definitely would have looked at success very differently. Success in the form of a winning trade and consistently returning pattern. I think I definitely would have looked at the amount of time and energy I put into study and research very differently than what I do now, coming from the lessons I'm taking each and every single day. And I'm extremely grateful for all of that. I think there's a quote that I heard the other day too, that sometimes not getting what you want could be the greatest blessing in disguise, in a sense. I'm stealing out from somewhere. I'm not sure if that's exact, but yeah, totally true. That everything that my fiber and everything inside of me always wanted to just stay green. And my trading style was, if I'm anytime in the green, then the stop adjusts to right above my entry, so it stays a green trade. And doing all that type of mentality, it bleeds into the trading. Whereas, man, taking a loss now just does not seem that mean anymore. It just doesn't seem that demonic or absolutely scarring on my soul. Taking a loss is part of the game. I don't want to make it a routine, and I will not allow it to continue to breed more of those, which is what I have to continue to learn and nip in the bud. But it certainly isn't the end of the world, which I think the growth and the lesson that I'm learning coming from all of these trading days and red days too is the lessons that are binding in my head as well too every day. So I'm extremely thankful for that. That was my trade, only trade on the day. And again, of course, took off pretty early after market open. Other tickers that I wanted to mention on the day, SNGX was another one that I have traded on the morning dump pretty well in the past. I think it was a 10% trade. Was it the 18th maybe? I forget which day. But that was a nice morning dumper, and wasn't convinced to try and short it now because we've just not seen any of these work out stupendously in the past. I think that's the right way to use stupendously. But it did offer a nice little percentage move to the downside. Not huge. I don't think this is 1 to 2. I think it's barely 10% if you nailed it perfectly. But opportunity was there on that one. I saw that in the pre-market. ENVB was another one that I did not think had the potential to dip and rip. This is actually one in a little bit of an uptrend, coming from some recent nice volume days too. They actually had news catalyst at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time of Magic Industries to follow at adventure conferences, blah, 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 whatever. American Biotech, float of 16 million, super low floater. And the price action just turned me off a little bit in the pre-market, and that's really why I didn't look too hard to this one as a dip and ripper. Rejected VWAP pretty vehemently, and wasn't a lot of or any beautiful volume in pre, but nice little base right around that 9:45 time frame. You get a little bit of sell-off here, curling, putting in some higher lows, test to VWAP, and then plenty of upside, 10% upside, pretty much right away from there. Nice 10% block to trade off of, and then a few more opportunities, but then dumped for the afternoon, and now after hours holding for new high days too, so we'll keep it on watch a little bit. Again, I don't really know what trades are left in that, if it has any more days left in it. Certainly needs some more volume to continue this push to the upside. Yeah, I don't really have a specific trading plan set on that for green day continuations on it, but I like to keep note of it, that though I didn't think it had the potential to dip and rip, certainly provided a nice little curl to the upside and dip and rip trade today. CEI was another one that I wanted to mention. Traded this one yesterday, looking for this move on it today. The dollar hold level, certainly a key emotional level for all traders. Doesn't matter really who you are. And I even had the thought yesterday too, as I was trading this one, that maybe today is just a little bit of a cool down day again. It did have this little doji red candle day here, but that was a pretty big volume day, and I think it needed a little rest, which my thought was correct. It was that little bit of a rest day, just choppiness of not going too hard, too down to the downside. Either way, just sitting for now, and did the same thing out of the gate for this morning. Held under VWAP for a little bit in the morning, rejected, then perked back above, but then ultimately faded back under. And you get this huge volume push pretty much out of nowhere that immediately spikes right beyond that dollar mark. There was no news that came out on this one. There was no news for the initial run up on this one either. This one's just continuing to push volume. Nice pump. It is a pretty low float, the 25 million floater oil and gas play. Nice move on that one. That, yeah, I certainly was not in front of the screen at this time, but potentially if I had seen this around this time, I don't know if I would have tried to chase it or maybe continue to look for an entry point if I thought the move was valid, that it still had legs beneath it to continue on for the rest of the afternoon session. But obviously certainly didn't. Continue on to 145, almost touched 1.5 by the end of the day too. Pretty exciting. We'll see what it does in the next few days. GEVO. Remember this ticker from another time too, I think, just the craziness from the start of 2021 here. These nice gap ups and percentage moves there. This is a chart I wanted to mention too that I don't feel I've seen in a long time in this market, in which it's just a full green day trend. Doesn't ever break VWAP, of course not counting the first minute, but you get this morning spike, move to the upside, and just pretty much holds that the whole rest of the day. Doesn't come close to testing VWAP, just holds this nice trend into the close the whole day. Nothing crazy. Pretty much after this nice update trend, I don't feel I've seen this in a crazy long amount of time. Did I say that right? Yeah, I haven't seen this in a crazy long amount of time. This is just, hey, it spikes pre-market with, what was the news on this one? Intent to pursue sustainable aviation fuel investment, whatever crap. It's an American company, high float of 188 million. But yeah, just excited. I just wanted to take note of this one as a database for journaling to say, hey, maybe these types of trades are coming back in, to say if it's holding well, spiking in pre-markets, holding decently, perks above VWAP, perks above that pre-market high, holding here. Here's different trading blocks that you can certainly get a part of. And it's not like you're late to the party. There still is plenty left more in the tank for the morning session and even a little bit into the afternoon too. Know that the afternoon is certainly not going to be as volatile or profit inducing as the morning, but those are some interesting ones. These are the cool ones to say, like, hey, just be patient, base your stops at a reasonable level to understand if and where the trade shouldn't go if it's not going to work. But then just hold on for the roller coaster ride to the upside. It's just a nice and easy glide to some profit opportunity on that one. And then AEHR, last one. This is that TUI chart that they talked about. Small cap recap was, TUI was in at least Tuesday, I want to say, that Bryce TUI was looking for, thinking from Friday. Yes, so he was thinking that Friday was the initial breakout try on this kind of cupish pattern coming from July, yeah, of the 20th of this move here, putting in higher lows, holding well on the daily. This is more of a daily, longer intraday type of trade that I would say as a day trade instead of just looking for a scalp, quick move to the upside. He was trying to trade the breakout move on that Monday, this week, Tuesday, the open of because of Labor Day, of course. Tuesday was the first day of the trading week, thinking that this was the kind of fake out breakout. And now after that usually comes the full breakout move to the upside, and did provide some amount of opportunity moving from 9 to 10, but wasn't the awesome, insane catalyst that shoved it above that $10, of course, emotional level mark as well. And then even Monaco mentioned after that day too, hey, it could actually come tomorrow, because this could have been the potential, stagnant day that it does nothing, holds a little well, and then potentially moves to the upside on that one. But then it proves again that yesterday was that day. A little bit of a sell-off here, comes back closer to open price, a little bit of a green, actually touches green there, 9.2. And there's pre-market is so ugly. The volume coming in, in the morning session as well too. But you even price is king. Looking at price, we're holding well in this range here, continuing to put in higher lows. Now continuing to test 9.6, 9.8, still perking well, holding around here at, or even coming through and shoving through that $10 hold level, holding well above that. Of course, it fell a little bit. Perfect bounce off VWAP, reclaims, and still potential to the upside off of that for a continuation. Not insane volume, and certainly not price action that I'm extremely fond of to try and trade. But that was just funny to me to see this one. There was the move today that it just came so much more later than both of those guys thought from Small Cap Recap. Good chart to see, good price action, good percentage moves to say. Reading off of the daily mainly, I would say, too, not looking at this one on an intraday 1 minute time frame, maybe even not even a 30-minute, but 5-minute, 10-minute type of candle chart of picking patterns, picking trends off of this one to try and find entries and exits on that. So that is all I had of charts I wanted to go over, and trades. Watch list potentially for tomorrow. AMC is going to be on watch if it's going to come back to craziness gorilla level. If we get more volume coming back in, it's not dead yet. I don't know if I'm willing to trade these insanely volatile, when they were volatile with crazy amount of volume. If I'm willing to throw full position size at them yet, I love to lose paper cut money when I trade 1 or 2 share sizes on these ones, to think that I'm trying to trade the trend or follow along, just so I can be emotionally involved in it a little bit at least. But certainly not trading a full position size on these. But it's holding well. That $50 hold mark, emotional level, is in sight. If we get there, I think volume could come in once again to step up and squeeze out any long-term shorts that are trying to kill this thing with all of their breath that they can. Could get interesting again, especially as we're coming out of summer months, coming into more volatile holiday fall trading months. Could be exciting once again. And I checking out GME that I haven't even looked at. We'll see if it even wants to be a part of the picture once again. I don't know if, I think AMC and GME are in their own separate realms here as of right now. Another one on the watch list, SONM. Type U for me. No, there. Just some crazy price action here, especially in after hours into the close too, is what I was looking at. This one is they had news at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time today, which did nothing the whole morning and even close into the afternoon session. Just no volume coming in. This is an American equipment company, float of 58 million. I feel like I also remember this one a little bit from the past. Where's my mouse? There it is. Its ticker sounds familiar as well too, maybe potentially trending it to the short side some of these bigger volume days or any other news catalyst days too, that this could be a little bit of a manipulation. So certainly see what it wants to do after hours, looking into pre-market tomorrow. Don't have any hard set trading ideas on this one as of yet, but love to see the price action. And of course, if that $1 level, pretty far away as of right now, we're at 70, so could get there, but I love that magnet of what is that $1 whole dollar level that just always seems to have some influence in people and emotions, and that's what we're trading against, right, in reality. So that is all I had. I sincerely thank you guys once again for watching. Just continuing this grind, continuing to push hard, press on, fight through the negativity and the desires of the body to quit and just take a break and ease up and give up, and we fight through that slam even harder to move forward. That's the end goal in all of this. Continue to move forward. That's what I have to tell myself each and every single day, through all the pain, through all the losses, through all just thoughts that flow through my head. Continue to move forward, press on. That is what we are doing. So I thank you guys so much for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.